Breaker of this world's chain, we adore thee, whom all men love. Spotless, taking man's form, O purifier, thou art above the gunas three. Knowledge divine, not flesh, thou whom the cosmos wears, a diamond at its heart. Let us look deep in thine eyes. They are bright with the wisdom of God, that can wake us from Maya's spell. Let us hold fast to thy feet, treading the waves of the world to safety. O drunk with love, God drunken lover, in thee all paths of all yogas meet. Lord of the worlds, thou art ours, who wert born a child of our time, easy of access to us. O merciful, if we take any hold upon God in our prayer, it is by thy grace alone, since all thine austerities were practiced for our sake. How great was thy sacrifice, freely choosing thy birth in this prison, our iron age, to unchain us and set us free. Perfect, whom lust could not taint, nor passion nor gold draw near. O Master of all who renounce, fill our hearts full of love for thee. Thou hast finished with fear and with doubt, standing firm in the vision of God, refuge to all who have cast fame, fortune, and friends away. Without question thou shelterest us, and the world's great sea in its wrath seems shrunk to the puddle that fills the hoofprint in the clay. Speech cannot hold thee, nor mind. Yet without thee we think not, nor speak. Love, who art partial to none, we are equal before thy sight. Taker away of our pain, we salute thee, though we are blind. Come to the heart's black cave, and illumine, thou light of the light.
নিশ্চয় टेबल टॉवर टेबल
Right here.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever. And a light might be helpful. Or is that normal?
Oh, and you can sit here.
Oh, all right. Can you just hold the other end? Thank you.
Speakers. Did that work?
Om Niranjanam Nityamanantarupam Bhaktanukampadrita Vigraham Vai Ishavataram Parameshamidhyam Tam Ramakrishnam Shirasa Namami. Salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the perfect embodiment of the eternal truth that manifests itself in various forms to help humanity. He is an incarnation of the Supreme Lord and is worshipped by all. Om, peace, peace, peace. Today we're celebrating the birthday of one of the great monastic disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Abhedanandaji. So I thought it would be fitting to start with a mantra composed by Swami Abhedanandaji. And I gave the meaning. Kali Prasad Chandra was born on Tuesday, 2nd October 1866 in Kolkata. He was a brilliant student, so from an early age he showed a great deal of talent in Sanskrit and literature and philosophy. And he had a tremendous hunger for further learning outside of school, so he would run after one pandit and another to learn the scriptures from them. And he learned Sanskrit at a very early age as well. And as a teenager, he decided he wanted to be a philosopher. And he was first inspired by a book by Wilson called History of India, and he learned for the first time about the life and teachings of Sri Shankaracharya, the great exponent of Advaita Vedanta. And he started attending painting classes, and he was very good in painting. And the teacher was hoping that he'd have a long career as a great painter. But then Kali said, "No, sir, a painter studies the surface of things. But a philosopher goes below the surface and studies the causes of things. So I want to be a philosopher." And he turned out to be a great philosopher, and he wrote many books, gave wonderful lectures on philosophical themes relating to Vedanta, what happens after death. He wrote a wonderful book called Life Beyond Death. But we're sort of skipping ahead there. He also wanted to read the Bhagavad Gita at the age of 14. There's a little interesting incident. He found a copy of the Gita in his father's study, and he started reading it. His father thought he's way too young for this. He said, it's too difficult, don't bother reading it. And so his father hid the book in his room, forbidding Kali from reading it. When his father left the house, Kali searched for the book and found it. In the dead of night, when everybody was asleep, he read the Gita by the light of an oil lamp. So he had to secretly study the Bhagavad Gita. He, at one point, was seized with the desire to study Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. And so he went to a great Pandit, Vedanta Vagish. And he learned the Yoga Sutra from him, but in an unusual way. He didn't take formal classes. This is what happened. Vedanta Vagish told Kali that he had no spare time to teach him the Yoga Sutras. But he could explain the sutras to him in the mornings while his attendant gave him an oil massage before his bath. Kali began to visit the Pandit every morning. While he read the aphorisms, the Pandit would explain them. Thus, he completed his study of yoga philosophy. And then comes a turning point in his life. Kali buys a copy of a Hatha Yoga book called Shiva Samhita. And he learns Kundalini Yoga, Hatha Yoga, Pranayama, Raja Yoga. And he has this desire to be absorbed in samadhi through this special Hatha Yoga technique called Kechari Mudra. And he knows that he needs a great yogi to teach him this very special technique. So what does he do? He goes on a quest to find this great yogi who can teach him Kechari Mudra so he can go into samadhi. And it was his classmate, Yajneshwar Bhattacharya, who tells him, I know a wonderful yogi. His name is Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. And he lives in Rani Rashmani's temple garden in Dakshineshwar. He has no pretensions. Many respectable people visit him. And he sometimes comes to Kolkata. Perhaps he can fulfill your desire to learn yoga. And so he goes off to Dakshineshwar to meet Sri Ramakrishna. The second time he meets him, well, the first time he meets him, Sri Ramakrishna notices that he was a great yogi in a previous birth. Kali tells him, I have a desire to learn yoga. Will you kindly teach me? And he says, it is a good sign that you have a desire to learn yoga at this young age. You were a yogi in your previous life. A little was left for perfection. This will be your last birth. Yes, I shall teach you yoga. Rest tonight and come to me again tomorrow morning. So that was his first meeting. The very next morning he comes, and Sri Ramakrishna asks him to sit on a cot, and Abhedanandaji is Kali as a great yogi already, as a budding yogi. He's sitting in the full lotus posture. And Sri Ramakrishna asks him to stick out his tongue, and he writes a mantra on his tongue. And that's how he gets initiated by Sri Ramakrishna. What happens? He writes a mantra and advises Kali to meditate on Kali, the Divine Mother. Kali does what he says, and he gradually loses outer consciousness and goes into a state of deep meditation. And after a long time, Sri Ramakrishna touches his chest and brings him back to normal consciousness. So right at the very beginning, Sri Ramakrishna recognized his spiritual greatness and taught him in very deep ways. While he's practicing various sadhanas under the instruction of Sri Ramakrishna, he starts having wonderful visions of gods and goddesses. And one in particular is striking. Kali saw various gods and goddesses and divine incarnations, Krishna, Christ, Chaitanya, and others, merge one by one into the luminous form of Sri Ramakrishna. Kali runs to Sri Ramakrishna and tells him about this. Sri Ramakrishna says, you have seen Vaikuntha, the abode of Vishnu. Henceforth you will no longer have these visions. You have risen to the formless state. And from then on, Abhedanandaji, instead of seeing visions of gods and goddesses, he became absorbed in the infinite, in the formless infinite. Obviously, I have to skip many, many incidents in his life. January 1886, the elder Gopal, who later became Swami Advaitanandaji, he had 12 Gedua cloths, with which he told Sri Ramakrishna he wants to distribute. And Sri Ramakrishna says, who will be better than these 12 disciples of mine? Among those 12 was Kali, the future Swami Abhedanandaji. So Sri Ramakrishna earmarked him as a future monastic. Another incident is March 1886, Shivaratri. The future Swami Vivekananda, not in, he's also intensely engaged in spiritual practices, and he suddenly feels a need to test out his spiritual powers. And so he goes into a room with Kali and says, allow me to touch you, and let's see whether I can transmit my spiritual power to you. And they sit very still and they do this. And then after this process, Naren says, how did you feel? And Kali says, I felt as if a current were entering into me, just as when one holds an electric battery. One's hand trembles all the while. Sri Ramakrishna, who was God himself and omniscient, he knew this happened without having been told. And he calls Narendra to his room and says, well, you are frittering away your power before you have accumulated enough. Gather it first, and then you will understand how much of it you should spend and in what way. Mother will let you know. Do you understand what great harm you have done to that boy by infusing your idea into him? He had been following a particular line for a long time. All is spoiled now. Well, what's done is done. Never do it again. However, the boy is lucky. And after that, Kali's spiritual attitude did change, and some thought that he became an atheist. He became completely obsessed with Advaita Vedanta and the process of neti, and arguing with people saying that God does not exist. And news went to Sri Ramakrishna. And Sri Ramakrishna asked Kali, he says, do you believe in God? Do you accept the validity of the scriptures? No, sir, says Kali. And then Sri Ramakrishna says, if you had said this to another holy man, he would have slapped your face. Kali, undeterred, says, sir, you are free to do so. As long as I do not realize that God exists and that the Vedas are true, how can I blindly accept these things? If you kindly enlighten me and give me spiritual insight, I shall accept them all. Sri Ramakrishna was very impressed with Kali's sincerity, and he said, a day will come when you will know and accept everything. But don't be one-sided. I don't care for one-sidedness. After Sri Ramakrishna left his body in 1886, the budding monastic disciples of Sri Ramakrishna moved to Boranagun, a haunted house in Boranagun. And Kali would lock himself up in a room which his brother disciples called Kali Tapasvi's room. Tapasvi means somebody who practices intense austerities, because he would spend all day there meditating and studying and meditating. And other brother disciples they complained to Nara and said, he's just sitting all day doing nothing, not helping around. And Swami Vivekananda said, let one person at least go deep into the scholarship and meditation. I'll wash the dishes, if need be. Kali, one time, he went to the Himalayas and he got the Viraja Homa mantras, the sannyasa mantras, and he wrote them down very carefully. And that became essential because on the third week of January 1887, all the brother disciples sat together and they took monastic vows together. And fortunately, Swami Abhedanandaji had those instructions, so they went through the formal Darshanami Sampradaya sannyasa mantras. And it was Swamiji himself who gave Kali the name of Swami Abhedananda. In August of 1896, Swami Vivekananda called Kali, now Abhedanandaji, to come to London, where he was at the time. He wanted Kali, specifically Abhedanandaji, to continue the Western work because he felt that he had all of the requisite talents. So he comes. He goes by boat. It was a bit difficult for him because he was a staunch vegetarian, and in those days it was very difficult to find healthy vegetarian food, and so he suffered a lot. But he insisted on staying vegetarian. And then Swami Vivekananda asked Abhedananda, after about 1 year in London, to serve in the US. So on 31st July 1897, Abhedanandaji sailed off from London to New York. And he arrived on 9th August 1897. He spent many, many years there. He gave stirring lectures on Vedanta and many other themes. He met a whole host of incredibly famous people. He met Thomas Edison. He met the President of the United States. He was in DC and he said, I want to meet the President. And somehow that happened. He met great philosophers. He met Josiah Royce at Harvard, William James, another great philosopher at Harvard University. And on 2nd October 1897, he starts giving classes on Swamiji's book, Raja Yoga, and they become extremely popular. And he combines theoretical instructions with practical meditation, guidance in meditation. He becomes more and more popular. And from 1901 onwards, his audiences grow into 600, sometimes 7,000. 7,000. He gave a lecture in Carnegie Hall called The Religious Need of the 20th Century. And there's a huge crowd. And I'll just read a small excerpt from that lecture that he gave in Carnegie Hall. This was in 1901. The 20th century needs a religion with no scheme for salvation, no need for heaven or hell, no fear of eternal punishment. The 20th century needs a religion free from sacerdotal institutions and free from all books, scriptures, and personalities. The 20th century needs a religion with a concept of God, not personal, not impersonal, but beyond both. A God whose supreme aspect will harmonize with the ultimate reality of the universe. The 20th century religion must accept the ultimate conclusions of all the philosophies of the world. He spends 6 months in India in 1906, and then he's asked by headquarters in Belur to come back to the US. So he spent the years from 1907 all the way up to 1921 in the US, preaching and working with various spiritual aspirants throughout the country. And then he finally left America on 27th July 1921. Then he establishes a separate center called the Ramakrishna Vedanta Ashrama in Kolkata. And one of the reasons that he had a massive number of books with him that he brought from the US, and there just wasn't enough room to keep them in Bilurmat, was one reason, among others. And he also felt that he could continue his work more effectively if he was in a separate center. And he had the blessings of Shivanandaji and Sharadanandaji in Belur. And so he spent his time in Kolkata in this Ramakrishna Vedanta Ashrama. One thing that's really unique about Abhedanandaji, there are many things that are unique, but one thing is, among all the direct monastic disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, the only recorded voice we have, which you can still listen to anytime you want on YouTube, by the way, is Swami Abhedanandaji's. He gave a beautiful address in Bengali on All India Radio in commemoration of Sri Ramakrishna's birth anniversary, his centenary celebration. And I'll just read a small part of it. He says, and I recommend that you go to YouTube and listen to the original Bengali, and there's a translation along with it. Om, salutation to Bhagavan Ramakrishna. During the 19th century, Western materialism was deluging India. The Christian missionaries, through brainwashing, were trying to create confusion and hatred in the minds of the Hindus regarding their religion. It was then that Ramakrishna appeared to revive the moribund condition of the Sanatana Dharma, the eternal religion. He was born in a remote village of Bengal. He had no formal education, but he experienced the imperishable Brahman and became a great teacher. He did not care for dry scriptural arguments. He solved the problems of life through his spiritual power. He said, "The nature of all human beings cannot be the same. It is natural to be different." He respected all beings and worshipped the God of different religions. After experiencing the truth of unity in diversity, Ramakrishna proclaimed, "As many faiths, so many paths." On his 73rd birthday, Swami Abhedanandaji said to one of his disciples, "I am only an instrument in the blissful sportive play of the Master, and the moment my life's mission is over, I shall not wait even for a second longer." And it was on Friday, 8 September 1939, that he decided to end his divine play with Sri Ramakrishna. And toward the very end of his life, he gave a wonderful message. He said, "Tapasya, or austerity, enhances willpower. Have self-confidence. Have faith in yourself. Think, I am a child of immortal bliss. The infinite power is playing within me. If you have this conviction, you will conquer the world." Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.